everyone. I am Lilian Calalios Binondo, Bachelor of Elementary Education, 4th year. I am going to report about the basic model of communication and my assigned task, which is the Shannon-Waba model. The Shannon-Waba model of communication is a mathematical theory of communication that argues that human communication can be broken down into 6 concepts: sender, encoder, channel, noise, decoder, and receiver. It is known as the mother of all models because of its wide popularity. The model is also known as information theory or the Shannon theory because Claude Shannon was the main person who developed the theory. So, it is best known for its ability to explain how messages can be mixed up and misinterpreted in the process between sending and receiving the message. The Shannon-Waba model mathematical theory of communication follows the concept of communication in a linear fashion from sender to receiver with the following steps. So these are the steps. First is the sender or the information source. Second is the encoder or the transmitter. And the next is channel, then decoder, and receiver. First is the sender or information source. The Shannon-Waba model starts with the sender or information source. They are the person or object or thing, any information source who has the information to begin with. So, for example, an example of a sender might be the person reading a newscast on the nightly news. They will choose what to say and how to say it before the newscast begins. Number two is encoder or transmitter. The next step in the Shannon-Waba model is the encoder. The encoder is the machine or person that converts the idea into signals that can be sent from the sender to the receiver. Examples: the encoder might be a telephone which converts our voice into binary to be sent down the telephone lines or the channel. Another encode might be a radio station, which converts voice into waves to be sent via radio to someone. Number three is channel. The next step in the Shannon-Waba model is the channel. The channel of communication is the infrastructure that gets information from the sender and the transmitter through the decoder and receiver. We sometimes also call this the medium. Examples: a person sending an email is using the World Wide Web or internet. As a medium, a person talking on a landline phone is using cables and electrical wires as their channel. So, if we're face to face, perhaps we don't have channel, except the sound waves from our voice that carry the sound from the sender's mouth to the receiver's ear. Number four is noise. The next step in the Shannon-Waba model is noise. Noise interrupts a message while it's on the way from the sender to the receiver. It's named after the idea that noise could interrupt our understanding of a message. So there are two types of noise, internal and external. When we say internal noise, happens when a sender makes a mistake encoding a message or a receiver makes a mistake decoding the message. At the point of encoding, for example, when you misspell a word in a text message, and at the point of decoding, for example, when someone misinterprets a sentence when reading an email. And external noise happens when something external, not in the control of sender or receiver, impedes the message. So external noise happens at the point of transmission through the channel. For example, when we're having a conversation by a busy highway and the receiver is having trouble hearing over the sound of cars. So examples of external noise may include the crackling of a poorly toned radio, a lost letter in a post, an interruption in a television broadcast, or a failed internet connection. Examples of internal noise may include someone having a headache so they can concentrate, someone speaking with a heavy accent, or when the sender mumbles when speaking. Number 5 is decoder. The next step in the Shannon-Waba model is decoder. Decoding is the exact opposite of encoding. Shannon and Waba made this model in reference to communication that happens through devices like telephones. Examples: decoders can include computers that turn binary packets into pixels on a screen that make words, a telephone that turns signals such as digits or waves back into sounds, and cell phones that also turns bits of data into readable or listenable messages. If we're talking about direct communication between people without the use of technology, there may still be a need for decoding. For example, you might need to decode a secret message, turn written words into something that makes sense in your mind by reading them out loud. Number 6 is the receiver or destination. The next step in the Shannon-Waba model is receiver. The receiver is the end point of the original Shannon and Waba model of the technical communication process. Examples. Examples of a receiver might be the person on the other end of a telephone, the person reading an email you sent them, an automated payment system online that has received credit card details for payment, and etc. 7 is feedback. The final step in the Shannon-Waba model is feedback. Actually, the feedback step was not originally proposed by Shannon-Waba in 1948. Norbert, Norbert Wiener came up with the feedback step in response to criticism of the linear nature of the approach. Examples: feedback does not occur in all situations. Sometimes, like when watching TV, we don't tend to let the people talking on the TV know what we're thinking. We simply watch the show. Feedback occurs when the receiver of the message responds to the sender in order to close the communication loop. They might respond to let the sender know they got the message or to show the sender. So let's move on to the advantages and disadvantages of the Shannon-Waba model. The Shannon and Weba model of communication has many pros and cons. Here are few. Advantages. First is it explains the barriers to effective communication very well. The Shannon-Waba information theory was revolutionary because it explains the concept of noise in detail. It shows how information is interrupted and helps people identify areas for more improvement in communication. Number 2 is it breaks down communication into understandable parts. The model enables us to look at the critical steps in the communication of information from the beginning to end. Number 3 is transferable to multiple situations. The communication model was originally made for explaining communication through technological devices. However, it's been used to explain just about any form of communication you can think of. So, let's proceed to disadvantages. Number one is its linear model, or there's insufficient regard for feedback. The original in 1948 Shannon-Waba blueprint did not contain the feedback component. When it was added by Waba later on, it was included as a bit of an afterthought. Number two, it doesn't account for power relationships. The model doesn't take a social scientific look at how information is interpreted differently based on power relationships or identities of those people communicating with one another. Number three, it doesn't address one-to-many communication. The mother of all models is silent on the issues that arise when there is one sender and multiple receivers for a better analysis of mass communication. The conclusion about my assigned topic, the Shannon-Waba model of communication is the mother of all models of human communication. It is also known as the information theory. It is a mathematical theory considered to be a linear communication model, created Claude Shannon and Warren Waba. It is considered to be a highly effective communication model that explained the whole communication process from information source to information receiver. That could be all my assigned tasks, and I hope you learned something about my report. Keep safe and God bless.